Hello, 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 hello. My name is Kevin. We are Dirty 20 Gaming, and it is Sunday. It's not just Sunday, it's a very special Sunday because it is the last Sunday that we're going to be playing Timely Interventions. We'll get to that in a minute. First, let's cross some I's and dot some T's because that's how we do stuff around here. This show, Timely Interventions, is based on my own system called Balance. If you're interested, get to us over in the Discord, and I will get you the rules. This is the first time of many that we will drop the Discord into chat tonight. Please come over there. That is the place to find us and get all this stuff. The imagery that we're using is from Pixabay for the vast majority of the part, except for the new art. Ta-da-ta-da! My chair's in the way. That is the new channel art done by our very own Thunderscape7. Go to the Discord and tell them they're wonderful because they are. It's amazing. I love it. It is us in so many ways. It's perfect. Speaking of art, the character art, two of our characters, Benjamin and Edward, the art was done using Hero Forge. The other two adventurers, Asher and Tholo, the art was done using a saber, which is an interesting way to do art, but it works, so let's do it. That's the technical part. Now the fun bit. These four people, we're gonna get back to them at the end because I don't want to get this all maudlin and shit before we even get started. So let's get through this. The introductions to these fine folks. Let's start with Saber because I don't think we ever have. Where can we find you when you're not here? You got all kinds of stuff on the go now.
Oh yeah, all kinds of stuff on the go. I'm still new. I feel like I'm still new. It's been a year. I am at Instagram at saber_sensei. I threw it in the chat already. That's where you can find some of this lovely art. I'm not nearly as fast as some of the other people that do this kind of thing, so be patient with me. But also, yeah, if you're interested in anything and you're looking to get some art done, I do commissions, but I'm very, very slow. So, just be patient.
Yeah.
And then I do D&D with Mercs of Mischief every Wednesday. This Wednesday they're on a break for my show Class Trip because they're doing a different show, but please go check that one out as well. I've started doing talkbacks with the Mercs team and kind of just doing some interviews with them and stuff, so you can catch me out there. And we've got something coming up, but I'm actually going to let Tails talk about it. So.
Okay, there we go. Let's segue over there. Tails, thank you again for joining us. And yeah, you have a social thing to announce, so announce merrily.
Yeah, so we're doing this is our finale of this show, and it was my first online role-playing show, so thanks to you, Kevin, for creating such a safe space for taking risks. I had a lot of fun, and I'm happy to say my second one is also going to be on this channel. So Saber and I are going to be playing a game with Scarred Adventurer. You can check out that information on our Discord, but it's hopefully going to be starting next week and then the following week, so it's going to be a three episode show, and it's a superhero show. I play a real jerk, so it's gonna be a lot of fun to play him.
Scarred is a brave man running a superhero show.
Yeah,
we beat him up pretty bad in his one shot, so he's ready for you.
Before you move on I just wanted to add, I'm playing a completely different character too. I'm going to be really self-conscious and quiet, and then you'll see like kind of a flip character, a reverse of that. So come check
an anti-bard. I like that.
It's super interesting. Yeah.
Got to push your limits. Right? Push your limits. Play all the characters.
I also have a podcast. It's called Tiny Fences. It's currently on a break, but it is a Joss Whedon podcast, and you can find that on Apple Podcasts or Podbay or any other place that podcasts happen. Yeah.
Excellent. We'll move on. Let's go to Benjamin, played for us by Nick. First of all, thank you for being here for this. You're more of you got stuff going on too. It's just not particularly streamed. But how is your other game going?
The other game's going well. We ended up moving from the weekly that you were doing before to every other week. So it's nice kind of having that break.
Yep.
But it does also mean I need to figure out how to do pacing. But that's something I will learn over time. Which only having done this for something like a year, and now I'm in the DM seat, and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, so what happens next?" And it's like, okay.
Yep. Yeah. Welcome to behind the screen. I really have focused a lot on getting new people into the game. If you want to play, come and play with us. If you want to DM, we'll help you do that too. And there's a number of people in this game are sort of graduates of that program, for lack of a better way to put it. So and I want to thank them for that. And Nick, the world needs more GMs, so thank you for being a part of that. Speaking of GMs, a gentleman who is part of a game that is all GMs, how's that going? I understand the levels are getting truly ridiculous over there.
Yeah, we're level 17 right now, and I'm currently GMing for them and just trying to come up with a final battle that puts the work in, to make it so it's actually hard for a group of GMs, experienced GMs.
Yes.
That's a lot of work.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Less rolls, more role play. Oh, make them think their way out of the final boss battle. Nobody ever does that.
Oh no, they've been doing that the whole campaign. They're rolling dice now. A lot of dice.
Yeah. Make them do what they're not used to doing. That's the trick to the final battle. One of my players cursed me out not 2 months ago because for the second finale of a game that they were in with us, I took away all their magic for the final battle. They were very upset with me, but they won. So in the end, they heroed up and they were very creative and solved the problem without their crutch. So, haha.
What else I'm not doing that though. You can. I'm on break at the moment, but you can find me at Twitch at twitch.tv/villavillas. It should be back up and streaming probably towards the end of April. And also for all of the folks watching, I am working on a one-shot for those of you who enjoy the horror genre that is upcoming sometime in the future.
I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be a blast. I think we're going to do that as one of our Tuesday screenshots, I believe. Looking forward to that a lot. But that's enough fooling around. It's time. This is the final episode of Timely Interventions. It begins in the literal. No, that's not true. The figurative, because this is a work of fiction. Antechamber to hell. A plain gray room with one arched doorway, and around the arch carved in the stone, "Abandon all hope, ye who enter here." The four of you who have been everywhere and done everything, and have had adventures beyond most people's imaginations, can feel the heat radiating through the door. There's no other way out of this room.
Well, that's cheery. Did you see that?
Oh, the Twinkie melted in my bag. Ugh.
Ew, squishy Twinkie. That's nasty. What do you think that sign means?
Nothing good, that's for sure.
Benjamin, as a hitter of things with hammers, you take a look at the lettering. That's not how this is not carved like hammer and chisel. This is melted, like somebody used a finger and melted it into the rock.
That's just cheery.
And of course, it's done in Gothic, of course.
Oh,
Can I try to read it?
Oh, it's very legible. It says, "Abandon hope, all ye who enter here."
Oh, it's not in a different language of any kind.
Nope.
Okay.
So it sounds like you cross that door and you have no hope. So maybe we should stay over here, but I don't see any other way in or out. So.
Yeah, you look and you're standing.
I don't know how long.
It's like you're in
I don't know how
the
long.
Basement of a building, right? But it's just a round
I don't know
tower.
how long we can live
There's
on that
nothing.
Twinkie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Think there's only one way out of here, but I'm not flinging this door open like I have doors in the past. Yeah.
Anyone have any idea what kind of literature this might be so we can break the book and get out of here?
Oh, I can scan it. I still want to do a little scan. Looks like Divine Comedy
Book 3.
Inferno.
Book 1, the Inferno. Yes.
Pretty sure it has something to do with hell. Let's scan the little wiki. What does it say there, Kevin? What does my wiki
It is,
say?
the story is the first part of 3. The overall arching 3-part story is a story of great joy and rising up, and the overcoming of sin and all of that. It is a classic tale, but the first book, The Inferno, is an in-depth study of the 9 layers of hell. Hello, party. Thank you hanging around. Thank you for showing up. You have arrived at a very stupendous time. The final episode, they stand just outside the doors of hell, or at least a version of it, as written by Dante.
All right, so I report all this back and let you know that we are in the antechamber of hell, and that this is the only door. And this is, yeah, I read you basically the Wikipedia entry is what Kevin just told us. So. Because that's all the player knows about
Absolutely,
the Inferno.
yep.
So
Yep.
that's what you get.
Okay.
Some of these I was worried about metagaming. Some of these not so much.
Anyone know any main plot points then?
I mean, based on the
know a
side,
lot of people told
it's
me I
gonna
was
be
going
quite
to end
warm.
up here. That's about it.
Okay, well, do we want to open the door? Listen at the door? Can I listen? Like kind of go close and see if I hear anything.
Absolutely.
Before we
And
open this door.
yeah, you don't need to roll anything because you put your ear up against the door, and it's like putting it up against a soundproof wall. It is not just no noise on the other side of the door. There is nothing. Like there's no sound of moving air. There's as you thump the wall with your hand, there's no echo.
Okay, it's the void of silence is on the either that or a really nicely padded recording studio, but I highly doubt it.
Is it hot? Like
it's real hot. I think
You reach up and put
yeah.
He realizes you weren't talking about him. Puts his hand on the door. No,
Thanks,
the door
Solo.
is not hot, not at all. In fact, the door is a perfectly neutral temperature. It's like you can feel it, but it is exactly the same temperature as your hand.
I'm gonna open it a crack unless anyone stops me. Just like an inch. I just
You
want to
open
see
the
if I can
door
peek through.
an inch, and you can't even tell that the door is open because you look in the gap that would be between the door and the frame, and it's exactly nothing. It's not black, it's not white, it's the color. It's that infinitely impossible shade of gray that happens every time a ficton explodes, and you guys fall between the holograms.
I would say this is something like a void. I start opening it more now that I see that
You
there's
push
no
it open.
danger. Like
This is limbo. This is the space between. And as you step forward into it, you do that falling, not falling thing.
Oh, I don't do that yet.
Okay.
I'm still in the room. I'll just fling the door open.
Anybody else?
I mean, does anybody want to go first?
Well, I'd still like to know what we're up against. Do you know if there's an antagonist of this story or monsters or anything that we have to worry about?
Let's read a little more. I see there's 9 layers.
Trapped.
So I wonder...
The story is, the Dante's Inferno, the story is that at the bottom, trapped in the 9th level, chained up, is the devil themselves.
So I wonder if we have to move through all 9 layers in order to change the ending of the story? I don't know.
Oh.
Okay. Well, we have to get to the end of the story anyway, so...
You know what? Let's go. And I'm going to jump. I'll do the whole... And I want to do forward, front flip, like pike spinning, like some Olympic diving stuff.
And you start doing that...
Yeah.
But there's no sensation of movement because there's no up, down, sideways. There's no direction here. So you can tell, you're spinning and rotating and doing amazing stuff, but there's no sensation in your inner ear to back up what's happening. Okay. The 3 of you see him step in and disappear. He just fades to the same gray as everything else and gone.
Can they hear me? This is weird.
very far in the distance, you hear.
Well, shall we?
Yeah. Off we
Yeah,
I
go.
walk
that
through.
wasn't ominous at all.
I walk through too, but I'm not doing any flips or anything.
Okay, and Benjamin, you said as well, Edward, the last person left in the room.
In the
Still
hell we
looking for
go.
the Titanic guy.
And you
Not gonna
step
find him
in,
there.
and the gray void spreads in all infinite directions. And most people you can imagine experiencing this for the first time would be terrified. But it is amazing how fast humans respond to intense situations. This is almost like a break. This is almost like one of those sensation-free baths, the sensory deprivation tank. That's what I'm looking for. It's almost like that. It is a moment of complete freedom, where you feel like if you didn't concentrate, you might just lose yourself into this gray.
I don't like that. Asher, I try to be loud and out with my personality so I don't have to be stuck in my head.
You start
So
yelling and screaming, and as you're
Yeah.
tumbling, you see ahead of you, because you were first in line, a red pulsing light that you can will
All right.
yourself towards. That is the only feature in this infinite gray space.
There's a light at the end of the tunnel. Go to the light. Okay, going to the light.
As Asher
reached out
mentions
for
it,
it.
the rest of you can see it, and you see him reach for it, and it's like it starts to draw him towards it. You realize you could do the same.
Yeah, I do too.
You drift forward. Asher, you get closer. It's almost like a heart hanging out here in space. It's all skin. You can see the veins and the skin stretched over like an inflated interior. And in a moment, you're through the wall and inside it.
I go
The rest
into
of
the
you-
heart.
You're right inside it. The other three of you just boom, boom, boom through the wall, all into this space. Asher, your glasses light up. Level 2, lust.
This is like a really weird elevator ride, guys. We're on like the second floor at a 9.
You look
This
around.
is where lusty people live. This is the place for me.
And as you look forward ahead of you, there's layers like an arena going down and down and down into the mists below you. But this whole ring that you're on now is all made out of flesh, and things are happening, lust-related things, except this is hell. So there's people being tormented by their lusts and unable to do anything about it. I believe those visuals to yourselves. The four of you are just surrounded by this. You see in the distance there are a number of ways down to the next level. But before you can move... Oh, thank you, Hellhounds. Everybody's raiding us tonight. It's like they knew it was our last show or something. Asher, you were the first in, and you kind of take a moment to recover, and the wall in front of you starts to push forward. It's a face. You know that in that old horror thing where it comes through the rubber sheet?
Yeah,
like that?
super creepy.
It's like that, but it's coming through skin, and you can see the veins on the skin being forced as this head comes through. You recognize the head. It doesn't move in any way. It is absolutely rigid. The mouth slightly open, the eyes hollow, covered in gems. You can see pressed into the skin.
I do know this
Covered in
face.
gems and feathered gold.
Okay, I'll take a step back. Like, guys.
What gave you the right to change history?
It's the author.
And you see moments of the Kennedy situation where you were on the top of the roof, where you caused that bubble to burst. What gave you the right?
I mean, to be fair, we thought we were hired by you or someone like you to do these tasks.
For money? You destroyed the lives of millions? Thousands of worlds? For money?
Not for me. Wasn't for money for me. More curiosity, if anything. And last I checked, it wasn't history we were changing, it was literature.
It flashes back again. This was the Kennedy assassination. This was the last of the real moments in history that you were actually at. That's the one that popped the bubble. The reality. The last of the realities. It may or may not be what threw you into the fictons.
So recently, author, and I'm totally creeped out, but trying to be courageous. We saw the other half, the other side of your face is the narrator, and that's who hired us. So if you're gonna blame anyone, you can blame the narrator. We're just doing a job.
Just doing your job.
Yep. And I go and stand behind Ben.
As you step back, a sort of screen appears on the wall, and a list of historical armies and atrocities start to scroll. Under the heading, they were all just doing their job.
I pop out behind Ben. It's not like we killed Kennedy. We just allowed it to happen. And my other option was to kill the alien. And I wasn't going to kill myself. I was trying to talk him out of it. But technically, I didn't kill Kennedy. And then I pop back around Ben so he can't see me again.
You saved the lives of millions of aliens. That is commendable.
Thanks.
But you changed the world. Not just one, not just two, not just 10. That ripple is still expanding, still changing worlds, still doing to people what history has done to you. You feel no guilt.
Well, arguably, that would happen in any situation of any given time. There are probably millions of billions and an infinite amount of alternate realities, and we're just, like you said, a small drop in that ripple.
Insignificant.
Obviously very significant in this particular moment, but everyone is significant in a moment at some point in time.
Proceed. And the face pulls back into the wall. And the staircase of flesh opens in front of you,
I kind of
down one level.
brush Ben's shoulder. I brush Ben's shoulder. Thanks for protecting me, friend. That guy's creepy.
See, but now he's told us to, and now I kind of don't want to.
Wow, do you see any other way, Tholo, to go? Like, I don't know if we have much of a choice in this situation.
I suppose
we're
maybe
kinda-
we're at least on his good side a little.
So I think this is Tails. I'm assuming it looks like my background on my the background of my video today is kind of what we're looking at. The like looking down the stairs.
Exactly,
layers
like
into yeah,
like a coliseum almost.
Coliseum.
With layers, yeah.
okay.
And you're at the very top of the outer ring. It's all smoke and brimstone filled. You can't see more than 1 or 2 layers down.
Well, there's only one way down. What do you folks think about like holding our breath and running? See if we can get to the middle.
Sure, I can call back to a slide down a spiral staircase. Why not?
That was good times, right, Tholo? To kind of nudge you a bit. You still got the Twinkies.
No, they're melted and gone, for sure.
Nasty.
Edward and Benjamin. What are you doing?
This is almost a little too much for Edward. Going to different points in history, he can deal with that. Going to different places in books, okay. Lord of the Rings is pushing it, but he really likes Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Going and visiting hell, seeing the sights around him. This is something that he's just having trouble like quantifying.
Sure.
So he's just kind of like stuck looking around at all of this. And you mentioned like, you know, debauchery, but it's not even like debauchery in a physical sense. It's just
all
seeing
about
people
frustration, right? It's
as they
being
lay
unable
plus
to fulfill
for
these.
all of these different things, and knowing that he has to go further and further and see all this. He didn't really believe in magic, and this is kind of pushing him, seeing some weird stuff. This is really kind of starting to kind of get with him. So he's kind of quiet at the moment.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna go over and, if he lets me, take Edward's hand and be like, "Hey, I see you're having a hard time. Stick with me. We'll stick together. It'll be all right, because we're not alone. We're not alone. It's all right."
Benjamin, where's your head at?
His head is in a few different places. It's especially in that kind of last that really them talking with the narrator, like the presence kind of clicked, but his head's kind of somewhere else still. He hasn't really hit him where he is.
Mm-hmm.
But kind of seeing that face, he kind of just wants to check on. Well, he's more trying to see, is the nail inside or is the nail somewhere else still? And it's more just us seeing what, like, basically, are the place we're in playing with our minds, or is it actually the nail is in the center of this circle?
So you concentrate on the nail. Give me an intuition roll. This is your nail against 4s. I want to know. This is more about how many successes, not whether you're going to succeed or not. Your intuition is your better stat of those ones, right? It's good enough. So you reach out with your mind to that spike, that perfect spike, and you see it in your mind's eye. And you sort of reach out with your mental hand and touch it. And through that, you can sort of see out the other end of it. You are looking into the 9th layer of hell.
Oh, we're in it now.
In the center, on a throne, sits a full statue version, split down the middle of the face. This half plain, this half covered in jewels and cloisonné.
Oh my.
Do you share that with us, Ben? Or is that something you just keep to yourself?
We just went through the first layer.
Yep.
So I think I'm gonna hold that for a minute. It's definitely gonna tell you later. So remind me after like the 4th layer if I haven't yet.
See if you guys remember. So with that, who's heading down?
I definitely am. I'm taking the plunge, but I'm also holding Edward's hand, so it depends on how willingly he's going to go with me.
I'm also going. I would assume I'm actually leading at this
Makes
point.
sense.
Unless Asher and Edward waited a little bit, I might be lagging a little bit behind going down the stairs.
That makes perfect sense. Edward, do you resist at all, or are you just kind of glazed, like you're just still trying to catch up? If they looked at your eyes, would it say buffering?
Edward might, as he takes a second and he kind of looks around. Is there anyone from like history that he might see in the sea of people?
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting.
As you look around, it's like Kismet or whatever you want to call it. You see ex-president John F. Kennedy. And he is weeping and clawing at a glass wall behind which are the pictures of dozens of women, all of whom he is reported to have had affairs with.
Edward, don't look. We can't. I don't think we can take them with us. And I know, like, you like to help
Marilyn
people, but
Monroe,
I don't think you can.
the
Yeah,
vice
I don't. You can't
president's
help them.
wife. Some of these I'm making up. Don't sue me. Yeah, there's at least a dozen pictures.
Maybe, friend. Maybe try
None
closing
of
your
them
eyes.
are his wife, Jackie.
I can help you down the stairs if you close your eyes.
Kind of looks over another direction. Asher is kind of muted in his ear. Did you see anybody else?
Sure. You tell me this one. I did the first one. You tell me. What if anything, does Edward see?
Uh, he sees a woman, black hair, wearing sort of light linen, adorned with golden headdress, beads in her hair. Her skin is kind of painted a copperish color. There's bangles and stuff all over, and she has like little eyeliner that kind of goes the points and the sides of her eyes, and it's he kind of goes and he recognizes he's seeing that this is Cleopatra, and she's just going after Mark Anthony.
Yep. Yep.
And she's constantly like beset by a bunch of asps and just being attacked over and over again, and he's just like, he can't look away from it. It's just horrifying.
And you see, I'm going to add a little history to this. You also see a scene where she rolls herself out of a carpet in front of Caesar and presents herself to him. Except in this image, the guards overreact and stab her. All these things prevent her from getting what she wants, but absolutely, yes, Cleopatra would be in the lust category of hell, yes.
No, he kind of looks over and he sees a knightly figure, and very much so like a noble woman, and he sees, you know, the knightly figure and this noble woman. They're just stabbed by these shadows of what once were their friends and table members.
Yep.
As he kind of looks at it and he sees like it's Lancelot and Guinevere.
Yes. All of that. Every fictional, non-fictional, every famous love lost is here.
And he kind of, Edward looks around at this, and you actually see him kind of stumble back, and the stairway's right next to us, correct?
Yeah.
And he actually, you know, stumbles down a step, and then, you know, Asher's hand kind of catches him. I need to get out of here.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Faster we walk, faster we go. Tholo's up ahead. Let's go.
So Tholo,
Catch up.
Edward, and Asher bringing up the rear, Benjamin. As you start to move down, the dust starts to clear, the smoke starts to clear. In this case, the smoke of cooking starts to clear. You can smell everything you've ever loved to eat in your life. The walls are made of gold and gems and diamonds. There are people bathing in pools of gems, stuffing them into their mouths and their hands, and they're putting them in their pockets even though they're so full they're falling out. Level 3. Gluttony.
Tholo, I don't know if you're planning on stopping, but why don't we just keep going? The stairs are here. Like, there's no reason to stop.
You continue to move ahead, Benjamin. This time, the figure appears to you. Again, you can all see it, but at this time it's addressing you directly. An image pops up out of this cake. The head, the golden head, the author, all bejeweled, out of the top of a cake, spins and looks at you. You get the flashing image of in your head of the King Midas adventure. What right did you have to destroy the myth?
Is it not the work of those recording history? Oh gosh, where was I going with that? No, I think we.
No, that is all I need. That is freaking brilliant. You were
Tell the stories.
telling the story. Proceed. Disappears back in the cake. That was quick.
I look at Ben and go, "You're right. All we did was report what happened. We didn't really change much, did we? Besides, you took information, but you didn't share that with very many people or anyone, did you, Ben?"
The only change that was made is he has a son who took my name.
That, and you guys also made damn sure that his wife got half the credit, thereby essentially, as you're finding out now, demything the King Midas myth.
Mhm.
It's now you guys have replaced that with real history. And that's why that explanation worked, and he went, yes. You proceed down another. You said you guys kind of just start rushing forward at this point, just trying to get past this. You rush down again. The next one stops you in your tracks. It is war incarnate. Every inch of this next terrace is somebody fighting somebody. But nobody's winning. Everybody somehow is losing. Partial path opens in front of you. Tholo. Out of the crowd, a golden skull, covered in gems. You see the image of Robin Hood and that whole adventure, all that seems so long ago. Why did you help an outlaw?
Oh, I kind of look back at Asher actually because of the whole Robin Hood thing. Did he hear that too?
Yeah, I heard.
Oh yeah, everybody heard. Yeah, you were the one that saved
It
him.
was our job to figure out the real history. I don't know. He was a nice guy. He was pretty good in bed too. He's I don't know.
Why did you save him? Remember,
Because
Tholo, you struck down the guy that was going to attack
yeah,
you.
yeah, I remember. I didn't really see him as an outlaw. I saw him as misrepresented, if that makes sense.
He was just a guy. He was a normal guy. The myth of Robin Hood is way bigger than he actually was.
He was not a myth until you arrived.
I read about him growing up.
The truth is, everyone
holograms
is
of
a
history.
hero. Everyone is the hero of their own story. And in that moment, we were helping the hero of the story we were present in.
As you will. Proceed.
I pushed forward this time a bit more aggressively than in the past. I was very stealthy before, checking corners, checking places, and a bit more cautious. And now I'm getting, as we're getting closer to all of these deadly sins, I can feel the wrath within myself. Let's say that.
Absolutely, especially as you pass through this level of wrath. Those of you that know the story, yes, I missed one. I'm going to put it in now. Shush. You proceed further down. I'm assuming no one's stopping in the floor of wrath. Benjamin? No, Edward?
Wrath isn't probably the best place to tell him. Actually, no, it's the perfect place to tell him. What am I talking about? So this is where I kind of, well, not on the actual level of wrath, but on the stairs as we're about to head down. I stopped the group. Remember back in The Tempest when I put a nail to the author? Well, the narrator at the moment.
Yeah, I remember that.
What about it?
It's in the middle.
Really impulsive. In the middle. In the
There's
middle
a throne before the 9th level. Well, within the 9th level.
Yeah. It's
the nail is there.
Right.
Even kind of pointing down the stairs to the center.
Wait, your nail's down there?
It's where it's ended up.
Right.
So is that where the
before,
author is? Is the author down there?
A statue that appears to depict him is there. Or her, it, or whatever it might be.
Huh.
At the very least, what we've been pursuing theoretically through worlds, what we were going to go through the infinite hallway, is before us. So whether you're mad at, them having us leave where we were comfortable, or if we're willing to accept that we've been changed.
I think the goal right now is just to get out of here however we can. It's useful information, but look at Edward. Are you all right?
Yeah.
I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah,
Yeah, we gotta get him out
we
of here.
gotta just get going.
Aye.
Yeah. But maybe we need a game plan of what we're gonna do when we get down, if that is the author and not just a statue. Well, are we killing it? Are we talking to it? Do we have a plan, or are we just gonna wing it?
I think we've been pretty good at assessing the situation in the moment and doing what's best.
Okay.
And also, I don't necessarily know the story, but I don't believe the author was at the bottom of the Inferno. So the story's already been
Yeah.
changed. We just need to
Right.
finish it.
Every fictin that we go to is already different just by us being there.
It's
Correct.
a very good point. This is different. There is something about this location that is not just another fictin. As you say it, this becomes clear to you. This isn't hell. It's Dante's Inferno. But there's something different about this one. It's not like the last couple. Like you said, you've already changed the story. But how do you change the end? But you get the impression that's not how it works.
All right. Well, let's keep going.
Something
I'll
else.
keep helping Edward. Are you okay leading though? Shall we keep going?
Yep, I keep pushing forward.
You push your way down through the end of Wrath, the smell of blood and copper in your nose and eyes, the floor slippery under your feet. But the infernal wreckage of an infinite battle. You burst onto the ladder and climb down the next floor. Around you, gold. Piles of gold, chests of gems. And amongst it all, these tiny, writhing little bodies that used to be humans fighting over it. There's more than any of them could ever need. They're stealing from each other and increasing their piles at the expense. They're not eating, they're not sleeping, they're not doing anything except gathering. And it's not doing them any good because there's no place to spend it.
I look cautiously at Thola,
Level 5.
almost concerned,
Greed.
because I know that I made a golden shuriken that I'm sure one of the little things is eyed, if it's somehow
absolutely,
showing.
Yeah.
I doubt it would be seen. It's very well hidden.
Okay.
This time, as though seeing the weakest link, the image stretches forward out of a pile. Actually, no, the golden head rises up out of a chest of gems. The author's head turns and looks directly at you, Edward. You see flashes of the Tempest and the island and what you did and the result. Why did you put an evil man back on the throne?
It's what we had to do at the time.
Yeah, he's right. I realize he's not doing so great and kind of
Author,
jump in to help and
what
holding
is
him
evil?
up. I'm like, yeah. Or there. What is evil? Like he said.
Even out of like any out of character moment, that one was really came from him talking to Saruman last week. Stared him in the face and went, "What's going on here?" Oh, dude.
The next
All
level
right, let's keep
below you
going.
beckons. Yes. You
Let's keep
force your way down through this pile. You're wading waist deep through gold, and these little creatures are screaming and yelling at you as you disturb their piles. But they're so far away, you're gone by the time they get to the mess you made. This is pointless and useless greed. You get to the top of the stairs to the next level and start to work your way down. And this one is full of... I'm not going to describe it. I'm just going to let everybody put their own twist on this. This is the level for heretics. So whatever that means to you and yours, I don't want to offend anybody by putting words anywhere, but this is the level for heretics. This is where they would exist. And this one, you pass through. No head, no face. You didn't do the Pope Joan episode.
That's true.
You push down the next level. You're close now. This is level 7 of 9. You are pushing towards your doom. I mean, this is the center of hell that you are willingly walking into. Level 7. Those that do violence. Thieves, murderers, killers. All of those who would do harm to others to benefit themselves are kept here, and they are all kept in cages, punished, unable to steal even from each other. Unable to do harm to anyone, even themselves, as they are tied up and cannot even do that. You see in the cages, in one of the cages, the officer from the ship that rescued the boys in Lord of the Flies. He looks down towards you. I thought I was doing the right thing. They went mad and sunk my ship.
There's a very interesting character moment happening for me right now. As we approached this, I think this was the first time I felt pride in myself. As though previously I had always thought of all of these terrible things that I had done and felt guilty for. And now seeing all of these people who have done far worse things in my own opinion, I felt a sense of pride. And then as soon as he said that, I was reminded of what I just said to the author about being a hero of your own story. And I'm very, very conflicted. And I think as fast as I was going before, I've almost stopped dead in my tracks. So much so Asher and Edward could even possibly run right into me.
Absolutely. You just freeze, the two of you coming up behind. I assume that you're moving quickly trying to get through this, right? Hoping you don't encounter anything.
I don't think we quite hit Tholo, because I have a feeling I'm kind of helping Edward along, so we're not moving quite as fast.
But you see
as
Tholo come to a complete stop.
Yeah, it's pretty quick though.
Benjamin, you're
Tholo,
still bringing up the
what's
rear?
up?
You would have slowed down, especially if you noticed that somebody's stopping.
Yeah, okay.
Tholo, why are you stopping? What's happening?
No, sorry, nothing. I slowly start walking forward again, but I'm very dazed and much slower than I was before.
I don't think we're in danger here. They're all tied up. If you need to stop, we can stop.
No, we need to keep going. I can talk to you more about it later, I think. I try and shake it off.
You can feel, all of you could feel layers. Like every level that's above you is pressing down on you. There is no way out but forward. And it's horrible having no choices left. But you do. And you've all made those choices. On the way down these stairs, every single one of you has stood up for yourself in some way and been convinced in your rightness of actions. That is what got you to this point. And you go right through the next level. As you climb down, it's fraud. And you see a number of people here. I was going to make a joke, but I'm not. The one that you see that you recognize is Shakespeare. Sitting in a corner with an infinite pile of paper and an infinite amount of quills and no ink. Trying to scratch words into the parchment. Anybody going over to talk to him, or are you just going to keep going?
I'm pushing on.
You just keep pushing
I remember how he lit the theater on fire, and I don't have any regrets as to him being here or
Yep.
what we did.
Absolutely. That was also fraud. He also burned down his theater. So, so with that, you push on past Shakespeare and down the final stairs. These are, for the center of hell, it's shocking. These are plain, hand-hewn wooden boards, nailed with hand-pounded spikes onto a framework that leads down into what for all the world seems like a dark basement, a dungeon. Just pure black ahead of you. Smoke, pitch, sulfurous smells. The occasional flicker of goldish red light.
I start to look for the nail.
All of you can see it, glowing. The last spike, so to speak, for my Canadian friends. Glowing in the darkness ahead of you. Or to be more accurate, you can see half of it. Benjamin.
Benjamin, I have a feeling that you're supposed to remove it with your hammer.
That sounds reasonable.
We're here. We'll support you.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
it's okay.
You step forward and reach for your hammer. You didn't use your hammer to make this spike. You used your mind.
So what he's gonna do is is from the bottom of the stairs, he's gonna start crossing. As you said, he kind of put his hand on the hammer. He takes out the hammer, but instead of going towards the wall with it, he rests it against the pillar in the middle. The one that has the two heads.
Oh,
Particularly,
actually, you can't see that yet. You can just see the outside of your spike, like the head and the first half of your spike going into a black wall.
Okay, so this is the spike in there. Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is the.
I misunderstood where we were.
My misexplanation. No, you are still in the darkness outside of the bubble that the spike has pierced.
It's halfway in, halfway out.
Do we see anything else as we look around?
You can see the glow of this golden spike sort of illuminating a black sphere, or hemisphere to be more accurate, because it's sitting on the floor.
Benjamin, only you can know what this spike is doing to you and to us. If it makes you feel tethered to it, and if you take it out, will it set us free? Will it set you free? Or should you drive it further in?
Yeah. It's halfway in, halfway out.
I feel like you have a choice here. Or do nothing. I guess 3 choices.
I mean, symbolically, it's a difference between finishing what we've started or trying to repair damage that will never be repaired.
I mean, I don't mean to necessarily try to take some of the responsibility off myself, but Edward, would you like to help me remove this nail? As one who repairs people, or at least at one point did.
Are you sure you wanna take it out? You don't want to hammer it in further?
I think I agree with Asher and Fellow in the idea that this nail might be what brought us here. And removing it might mean that we could eventually leave. But also, removing this nail might take us away from this place and send us adrift.
I guess another option is we can try to get to the other side and confront the author and narrator, and then you can come back and do whatever you will with the nail, whether it is take it out, leave it, drive it further in. But they might not let us. We might have to make that choice now.
I mean, again,
It
you
appears
opened the
that
hole
that
first.
hole that the nail made is the only way, the only thing piercing this bubble, the only way in, the only access.
I think we gotta go through.
All right.
Through the eye of the needle it is.
Benjamin, what do you do? What do you do with your nail?
I'm gonna remove it.
Grab it and pull. And as you do, you see cracks forming on this black hemisphere, red cracks, reddish gold cracks. And this entire hemisphere collapses in front of you like it's made out of glass and just shatters to fine black powder. And inside is a very plain stone room with a very plain stone throne set against one wall. Sitting in the throne is a full-length version of the author, but only the author. The face is not half and half. The head turns towards you. The hands land on the side of the throne, and they start to stand up. How dare you write your own endings?
I stand as charged.
The four of you stand there under the glare. An interminable period of time passes. And then you hear, "Are you about done? Is it my turn now?" And you the narrator's face comes around and takes over half of the skull. Perfectly smooth, not a gem, no filigree, nothing fancy at all. I would like to apologize to all of you.
Asher steps forward and says, we belong to that one, the nice one. That's the one that sent us on a mission and lets us write our own endings and have free will. And I want to go back and live in a world run by this one.
Or should I say, we, have used you for our own purposes. We are, as you can see, opposite sides of the same being. We required someone, several someones, to break a lot of rules so that we could be together, as we should be, balanced, complete. You have been through great strain, and as such, thank you for the raid, Z and Z Games. I'm going to call it Z and Z because I'm Canadian. If it's C and Z, thank you, my American friends. You got here just in time for the big payoff. The narrator who is speaking now for the narrator-author combination says to you, "You have been through great trauma, and as such, you have earned a great prize, the greatest of prizes, in fact. Of all of time and space, where would you have us put you?" As you think, you look around and the whole image of hell just sort of fades away. You're in the office on the 200th floor of the building in Vancouver in 2077. You know what happened because standing in front of you is a real physical manifestation of the author/narrator.
I'm gonna step up and first kind of look back and smile at my friends in case they put me where I want to go right away. I say I have two requests. One, that I can save the alien planet I promised to save. If either you can send me to where I need to go or make that happen. And then I'd like to go to one of the realities in which my father survived, but I didn't, so that I can take the place of the Asher that died in that whatever reality you can send me to.
The first
That's where
of
I want to go.
those you have already done.
That's
Your
a giant weight
actions,
off.
although disruptive, saved an entire species from extinction at the hands of humankind. I don't know if you understand. You didn't save just the aliens. You saved your own kind from having to live with having committed genocide.
It's a big weight off of Asher's shoulders because it's all he's been thinking of since making that promise. He's kind of speechless.
One question regarding your second request. Would you have them know you are a replacement?
No. Let them think that I survived. And have me replace my dying self the moment that myself died.
At that instant, it's a bigger, much bigger, more visceral bang than anything that has happened so far. And you are in... Where's your home? Describe an area a couple 100 meters from your house.
In a suburb in Vancouver, in a nice modern house, as both my fathers were in technology, super like decked out with modern technology, but
all
still
the gizmos
like,
and
in
gadgets
a nice,
and everything else.
yeah,
Absolutely.
but still a humble-ish dwelling, like a
Asher,
ranch house.
an Asher that you know, it's a much younger you, but you look down and you're now younger. You look exactly like them, the same clothes, the same outfit. And it's horrible because you know what that means. You know what's about to happen. And as Asher does something as mundane as taking the trash to the street, he's gunned down in a drive-by shooting. Right in front of you.
Oh, that's awful.
The body
I'd be in
bleeds out
shock.
on the road and then disappears. You look up at the house.
Yeah, I'm gonna go finish taking out my trash job and put it on the corner and walk into the house.
To your old room. When you walk through the living room in that house, you can smell them. Both of them. And you can hardly see as you go up the stairs. But you gotta get your shit together, because by the time they get home, you have to pretend this didn't happen.
I'll wipe my eyes and run to the room to look for them.
Everything is exactly where you put it. Everyone is exactly where you left them. In fact, one of them turns to you and says, "You must be growing up. We usually have to tell you 10 or 12 times to take out the damn garbage."
Gonna answer, I'll do it anytime you ask. I'm gonna give him a giant hug.
And the three of you, big family hug in the middle of the living room. Back in hell.
Just laughing and crying and happy.
That's where we leave Asher.
That's a pretty perfect place for him to leave, yeah.
Back in the room in the basement, or pardon me, in the room on the 200th floor. Next. Volunteers? I'll pick somebody, but volunteers? Benjamin, you unmuted.
So he asks, I don't know how specific they're kind of asking, but kind of specifically Benjamin's kind of saying that being kind of here with what he knows, it'll never work. But he proposes that there is a time, well, particularly there is a question that nobody asks. Everybody asks, well, about the tool. Nobody asks about the maker. So what he's going to ask is of the author and narrator that he may go back and use what he's learned from modern smithing and from Midas, etc.
Yeah.
To go back and become the one who forged King Arthur's sword.
Wow. That is such a wraparound, because the first and only other time I ever ran a Timely Interventions, they went back to King Arthur. So now you're in that scene retroactively. That is super, super cool.
But in addition to that, when he's sent back, well, my thought of how it worked is he and the Smith actually ended up running sort of a competition. So it was really years, decades before.
Sure.
So really, by the time Excalibur is really selected, there have actually been like 20 or 30 versions between the two Smiths.
Absolutely.
Looking to try to make the perfect sword.
Yes.
But after they've picked one, Benjamin approached the other Smith and asked if they could forge a second to be a pair between the two of them. So a pair of swords. The first shall be known as Excalibur, and the second known simply as Grace. The sword would never be used to, spill blood. And sort of almost a sad part of that is it almost never turns up in history.
You create the greatest sword never mentioned. Wow. Excalibur has a twin and you keep it secret. Amazing. Do you stay? I mean, that's 20 years when you're done. When those two swords are done, does Benjamin live out his days in Arthurian England?
He does.
I love it. Thank you. Solo. The author narrator turns to you. You are conflicted.
Not really conflicted. I suppose, a bit sad. I have made a new traveling team, and I'm really gonna miss that bloke. No, I know exactly where I need to be. I just didn't think I'd have an opportunity to just ask for it. I've been searching for forever, it seems. I've been trying to find my old traveling partners, my sensei and the other samurais I've been working with. If you're asking me to tell you where to take me, I can't, because I've been searching. But if you know where they are now, I need to be with them.
There's a ting, 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 ting. Like cheap metal. It's not like steel. I mean, you know the sound of quality steel and iron and armor. It's not that. It's trinkets. It's almost like toys. And you look down, and the hand of the author narrator comes up, and from all the fingers are hanging silver chains with little lockets on them. And they're all open. And inside each of the lockets you see a picture. 3 of them, Benjamin, Edward, and Asher. Your sensei, the samurai you owe, the samurai you want to meet, all the people that you feel you owe or whatever it is you feel you owe them for, are represented in one of these lockets. He reaches out his hand and goes to rest them in your palm. Close them now, and when you wish to meet one of them, open it.
Forever? At any time? Whenever I want to see one of these people, I can just
You will go to the
open
world
it?
they inhabit. There is a limit. You cannot go back. Each locket works only once.
I don't want to take up too much time.
Time means nothing. Here, of all places.
Then I suppose the first thing I do is visit Asher in his family home and see his family and enjoy time with him and truly say goodbye.
Yeah. I imagine that'd be a good time. Foreign exchange student dads.
See what real life was like for someone, what a childhood was like for someone, what love was like for someone. I never experienced that. And to be fair, before I went into that locket, I'm sure I've said goodbye to Edward and Benjamin.
Absolutely. We'll take those goodbyes as written.
Have those lockets for later, I suppose, if I need to check in with them later. And then
I imagine during this time, Tholo, you explained to me in the secret of one night hanging out, these lockets and what hope if you open up to me about that. And it sounds to me like you have all the time you could ever want. And I ask if you want to live even a decade and my dad's going to adopt you and you can be my brother. And then you can go on and live another life with each locket if you so choose, or it can be a short version.
Oh, Asher, I'd
offer it to you.
I appreciate that so much, and I imagine that I stay with you for maybe a couple of weeks, but my whole life has been spent trying to find these people, and as you found your family, I need to find mine. But perhaps when I do, if it's in the same timeline, I'll come find you again, or find a way to leave you a note somewhere in the future that you find or something. We've not lost our memories of each other, so you'll recognize my handwriting or a Shakespeare scroll that randomly pops up somewhere. And I am going to give you the biggest and truest hug because I have never really experienced that. So I share that with you after 2 weeks of a good time, and I find my family.
Series of adventures awaits you as you go back and accomplish all the things that you needed to accomplish to feel complete.
I imagine a group of people that are so proud and so honorable don't normally react as emotionally as they might when they find me, and then I really do get to feel like I'm part of a family for the first time.
Brings us to Edward.
Edward, he goes and watches as Asher and Benjamin and Tholo kind of give their wishes of where they want to go. And then he's left there, alone on the 277th floor, staring at the author and the narrator. You two are a right bastard. You know that, right?
We are aware.
He goes and looks around. A lot of this is kind of hard for me to believe. I like things, in a line. Things I can just understand. But I can tell you one thing. even though it's been confusing, it's been sometimes terrifying. It hasn't been boring, that's for sure. That's something that's something that I look, that's all I have in life. It's just day after day. It was boring. It's why I was here doing this. And it's been an adventure. I'll tell you that. But the story's not over yet. Still something I gotta do. There's a promise I made, and I'll be damned if I don't do it. I want to go back to that hallway. The doors. Someone I gotta get home.
In that case, you'll need these. And the hand comes up again, and in it is a pair of glasses and a bosun's whistle. On the whistle it says Titanic. And it's old. It's oxidized. It's lost its shiny silver. The glasses will allow you to see the words written on the door, so at least you'll know where you're going. Your adventure will last as long as you want it to, Edward. And if you ever get bored, blow the whistle, and it will take you to Jonathan, and it will bring you both back here. But not until you're ready, Edward. I don't expect to see you for quite some time.
Kind of takes the whistle and he looks towards the doorway. He'll walk through the doorway, and then he's kind of in the hallway, and he sees all these doors. And looks back and forth at this infinite hallway. Just randomly go to a door, open it. He sees a world out there that hasn't, who knows what it means. He kind of looks down at his hand, thinks about the journey he's been on. There's a little tingle in the center of his chest, kind of runs up his shoulder, down his arm, goes into his fingers. Little sparks begin to appear. Well, you know what the ending is, right? It's just the beginning of the next step, and he steps through.
To infinite history. Anywhere you want to go. If you choose, you can read what the doors say. You have the glasses, but I can see Edward just randomly opening doors from now until he gets bored, which I don't know is ever. You do what you do. And you explore what you explore. And you find a way to break even these rules. Because you find a way not only to find Jonathan, but to take him with you. When you go to save him, he says, I don't want to go, I want to go with you. And you find you can take him into the hall. And Jonathan goes from being nobody to being the companion of a Time Lord. And back in that little room, on the 277th floor, the golden statue sighs. You were right. We're better together. I hate this. You'll get used to it. You'll find flying by the seat of your pants is much more exciting. Come, let's have some fun. and the book closes, and the hand draws away. And it's not a book, it's a computer screen. And it says timely interventions. And we fade to black. Thank you all for that. I got 4 muted players here, and I am taking that as the ultimate compliment. Thank you all for that. That was a very intense night, and the setup and the payoff for this took us 9 weeks. I want to personally thank each of you, Nick, Billas, Tails, and Saber. Thank you for doing this with me. This was something nobody else was doing. This was roleplay like nobody else is doing. And I love it that you guys came with me. You have helped me break this wall and find out that this is possible. So thank you all. And now we got some time left. That entire thing that we just did, if you don't include the intros at the start, 1 hour and 5 minutes. For 9 layers of hell and 4 end stories. Don't let anybody tell you have to do 4-hour sessions. You friggin' don't. You can get a lot done in 1 hour and a half. With that, yes, beautifully done, everyone. Thank you to the chat too. You guys tonight got slammed. I came in heavy and hot tonight, and and you weren't ready for it because I haven't done it in a long time. I haven't done it since Deadlands. So, thank you all for coming along for the ride. I would really like to hear from the players about what you thought, because I've got a couple of comments. I mean, I wrote it, so I've got some stuff I know about it, but I'd really like to hear from you guys what you thought of this.
I would love to go first if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
I think I saw Asher kind of as a Time Lord himself, in that it was a character for me that was inspired by the 11th Doctor, who comes off as fickle and impulsive, but is always in his head. And the Doctor, for those who know Doctor Who, is he's haunted by his entire planet being destroyed.
Yeah.
And for Asher, it was his father's being destroyed. So getting that ending, it kind of reminds me of, there's an episode of Doctor Who where the Doctor he has his mind kind of altered, so he thinks he's a human and he gets to live a human life.
Yeah.
And so it was a pretty amazing ending, and I just love how that goes, and I think it goes really nicely with Edward's story, because in a way he's taking over the adventurer who's just, for Asher, he was just taking any job he could take. He didn't care about the money, just trying to not think, just trying to help people not think. And so I think that ending couldn't have gone better for him. It really brought a tear to my eye, and especially that Tholo was able to come and hang out with me. And I really I appreciate the world that you let us explore, Kevin, and giving an opportunity to play in it.
What I really liked about Asher, the final, I always talk about putting bows on characters. What put the bow on it for me was the decision he made wasn't for him. That's why I asked, do they know if you died? Because if they did and then you came back, then it's all about Asher. Like, hey, I'm here to save the day. I know you were sad, but I'm back, right? If they never knew, it's about them and not about Asher. So there was that magnificent moment of growth, and thank you very much for playing it out. I enjoyed it very, very much.
Yeah, thank you. It was fun to see. The characters always take you in places you don't know they're going to take you. So he was
and I'm not wrong. Right? This was basically your first ever roleplay experience, essentially.
Streamed, yeah. I've played D&D, but even D&D, we didn't get really totally into character the one time. I played it 2 times. So this is the first time getting to like really role play, and and I love it. It was a lot of fun. Yeah,
we do stuff different here. Absolutely. Somebody who is used to how I do stuff and has seen me do this sort of thing before, Saber. I have had the pleasure of playing with you under several different DMs. And running several different games with you in them. So thank you you keep coming back. You must be enjoying it. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for bringing Tholo. Again, I said it before, this sort of traditional character, right? This sort of, I know how to deal with the world. I have the answers, except I fucking don't. Pardon the language, but there was there was this moment of the self-doubt in Tholo was stunning to witness. So thank you very much for that. But as Saber, what did you think?
Wow. Yeah, I echo the sentiments of probably everyone that's going to speak. I'm really thankful for this group of people. I'm thankful for you as a narrator, and for enabling, as was said, a safe space to explore something completely out of the box and different. And I I'm relatively new too. Like I think, because I just started in December 2019, um, and really not streaming or anything, it's been this wild year of learning these ropes at a very quick pace.
Mm-hmm.
And having done the difference between this system and a D&D system, this channel and a different channel, I've really learned that there isn't just one way to do role play games, tabletop role play games. And I thought, as somebody who really dislikes improv for the most part, and likes a script and likes to know my character and then try and display my character to the best of my ability, interpreting what the playwright or the author is intending, to be able to make my own, is something that I do with my close friends and family, but not publicly. And as a teacher, it's scary to be public and to go with the flow and not know what's going to come out of your mouth or what kind of character is going to appear. And with this one, this was a well-established character prior to that, the backstory of, and actually involves vampires and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yep.
But you allowed me to take that backstory and meld it into your world, and then still managed to tie it back to where it would have been had it been that original story. So that wouldn't have happened with D&D, I don't think. It wouldn't have happened. Like you said, he's a traditional kind of D&D character, but the rules of that system make for a restriction that balance doesn't have. And because you're so flexible as an improviser, as a storyteller, I felt freer to be whatever Tholo ended up being. And you've helped me to create a really beautiful, well-rounded story for this character that I otherwise wouldn't have been able to do on my own. So thank you to yourself and to all my other players who made that happen for Tholo.
Just say none of our cool endings could happen without time travel and being able to do what this world was able to do. Like there's no other way we could have had those amazing endings that were supposed to be our endings without balance and without this world that you created.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. But this isn't about me. We'll get to me in a minute. Nick, you've been in a bunch of my games, and again, like I said, you actually started in a game specifically designed for new players, and like you said, less than a year later, you're now running a game. So thank you for all of that. I appreciate the heck out of that. Like I said all the time, the world needs more GMs. But as your dual hat wearer now, as a GM and as a player, what are your thoughts?
It's definitely hard to kind of figure out what you want to do for a character.
Yep.
So especially kind of hearing that we're doing a modern world, I immediately went to kind of how could I kind of take that expectation and still manage to mess it up, was kind of me wanting to go into it.
My game. Absolutely, yes.
So I didn't go as far or as crazy, but I kind of took what most people would kind of say is actually a fairly traditional, like very practical character start for something like a fantasy role-playing game, which is this blacksmith that kind of is eventually tired of what they're doing and kind of goes out to adventure.
Yep.
So I felt like kind of trying to take that into a modern campaign works.
Yep. Absolutely.
But there's definitely a lot of what happened on his journey that really kind of shaped and turned him into kind of what he became.
Yep.
And the whole second sword was kind of this whole, as much as everybody's kind of said, but Schmiegel kind of was grateful for it.
Yeah.
I even said in chat, like, he's still carrying that cross. Yeah. Like, as much as, it was like, Schmiegel was, well, not necessarily fine with it, but, released. There's still the weight that he carried, because it's like, this is the hammer that, like, he uses.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't want to say been tarnished necessarily, but it's, he's actually taken a life.
Yes.
Can I jump in on that note? I don't want to take up your time but I think that moment with Smeagol, as somebody who doesn't know Lord of the Rings very well, I think that was one of the most beautiful moments narratively in this whole series, was what happened between you and Smeagol. And I do know that the character dies either way, but what he experienced because of you, like you said, released him. It was a positive ending for him, even though he died. So I hope that helps your character drop the cross. You know what I mean?
That's what Grace was. Grace was him kind of releasing that and kind of making something with that negativity as something of like, this tool, even though it is by nature and by expectation to kill, it will not.
To me, the key thing, like I said, it's a key thing about everybody, but for me, the key thing about Benjamin, you said he was kind of a traditional character. Don't take this the wrong way, he's an NPC. Right? He's a blacksmith. He's not a fighter who has the blacksmith background. Like the day before he was doing this, he was banging a horseshoe on an anvil. Like he was, so and you kept that all the way through this hard-working ethic. And there's nothing I can't solve with, just keep on going, right? And this bullheadedness that got him everything that he needed, but then in the end, it wasn't enough. And so then he had to show literally his grace. And that was, you choked me the hell up tonight, man. That's when you started talking about grace, I had to look away. It was really, really well done.
And that what you just said too is what this whole story was about in the end, is we are all NPCs in someone else's story.
Yeah.
And we're all the PCs in our own. And that, a blacksmith is an adventurer in his own story. So it just was a really beautiful analogy, and it's great.
And that brings us to the one I've played with the most. Villa Villas, years and years we have played in various different worlds and different campaigns, different systems, all over the place. What did you think of this? And I know you'll be fully honest with me, because we used to do these debriefs in the All GMs game, because that's where I met you, as I was part of it at the time. So
this was a very interesting take on not only storytelling, but making a character, exploring a character. Honestly, this playing Edward was actually one of the hardest characters I've ever had to play. Not in the sense of what he did, it's what he didn't do.
Yes.
Because I generally like, whether it's my NPCs or my character, a little bit more outgoing.
Yes. Yeah.
So I mean, when you have like in one of our games, there's a kobold is the magic caster for the city, named Yusdrill, and I generally like to do voices for different characters, and having Edward be so plain was actually really, really hard to do. Instead of having like Yusdrill going, "What do you want to buy? Oh, he's a magic caster."
Well, licking his eye, because
while licking his eyeballs, which he denies.
Yeah, he denies. Yes, doesn't happen. I don't know what you mean.
So it was actually really hard to kind of play Edward, just to tone everything down, because I generally always have like a comment for like some kind of reference to something, and trying not to throw those in. Yeah. It has been interesting, and just with the system itself, allowing everybody to kind of take away from the mechanics of rolling dice. A lot of people get caught up in just rolling their dice and letting the numbers speak for their character, when it should be them speaking for their character. Absolutely. Which this allows people to do. There's a lot of times where you didn't have us roll, maybe when you should have, and and it's just because you're letting the characters do what the characters should be doing. You're letting us play the characters. You're letting us become the character. And that is a wonderful thing that not too many GMs realize that they should be doing. A GM's job is you write the chapter titles, but it's the players who are putting the words on the page for the chapters. and together you're writing the book. So that is a wonderful thing. And for anybody else who is watching, if you have an opportunity to get in a game with any of these guys, do it.
Come play.
Do it, because
It's
you'll
easy.
have a grand old time.
Come to the Discord. We do fun shots on Fridays. They are stupidly simple. None of them have more than 4 rules. None of them take more than 1 minute to make a character. And we just have a good time. You don't even need to have a camera. If you have a decent mic and you don't want to appear on screen, we'll put a picture up of something in Zoom, and we don't have to see you. So whatever it takes. If you got a half decent mic, we're ready to put you in a game. We'll get you in the Fun Shot Fridays, and we'll take it from there. So thank you all again to the.
I saw one question in the chat there for Villas, and I think Nick answered his that where did your characters come from? And I don't know, Villas, you'd said this was totally a different character than you had played, so I'm curious too. Where did Edward come from? He's such an interesting.
I missed that question. Yeah, thank you.
Where did Edward come from? Edward came from the concept of creation of Kevin gave us why would your character go on an adventure, and I had to figure someone who was just used to so much monotony, and oddly enough that actually doesn't happen in the hospital setting. It's almost never boring. As someone who now works in the hospital setting, I can tell you it's never boring. You're always doing something. A lot of it is kind of gross most of the time, but it's never boring.
No.
So to come up with him, I just wanted to think of what would a character, what could they what could their life be? And I figured Edward was actually originally not going to be a doctor. He was originally going to be like a middle management kind of paper pusher sort of person. But at the very, very last second, I was like, okay, he's a doctor. So
yeah, and it worked.
As for it's kind of like where Edward came from. I just needed to think of someone like they had to do something, but they longed for having an adventure, so they would go on this trip and ultimately stick with it. So that's kind of where Edward kind of came from.
I personally love that Edward was a doctor. Like he wouldn't have been the same character if he had been a paper pusher, because he's such a caretaker and like.
Listen, that's interesting, because in my head he had been an active surgeon, but he'd kind of been promoted out of that, and that's why he was bored, because now he was sort of an admin.
I think it would kind of go that route where he was, and it's just kind of like now it's all bureaucratic stuff that he deals with.
Yep. The answer to Lanny's question, why a smith? I think we kind of answered this, but
I mean, I can explain that a little bit more. Why I almost had to pick up blacksmith, as far as all of the different like professions that I could have gone with. I had to pick one that was mundane enough that you would potentially miss it, but important enough that his whole, I don't think I actually said this on stream or not, or I might have joked about it at the beginning of the entire thing, why he really went on this adventure is because he just finished filling an order of 40 katanas. And of course the person wants like the proper folded metal, 1,000 layer, or potentially even 100 layer if they don't really know what they're asking for. So that takes a lot of time, a lot of effort.
Not the number of layers that counts.
He just realizes that kind of work, as much as you put the effort into it, it's not appreciated whatsoever.
Yeah.
So it was he was pretty much done with his career with that particular direction, or just needed a different outlook, which he ended up finding, which would be the rest of his life being, competing with another blacksmith to make a single sword. Well, and then going on to make the
making his own.
The sister.
Just to be absolutely clear, he made Grace by himself, right?
It was a combination of the two of them, their rivalry let's agree that this, or whoever ended up making it, it doesn't necessarily matter who ended up making the real one, but it's kind of the treaty type between the two of them.
Right. Okay. I like that.
But for him, it was him wrapping up his.
Yeah, that's very Benjamin. That sort of, no, I'm not taking the credit for this either. which I guess brings it to me, and there's two things that I want to mention. One is I love this idea of ordinary people in extraordinary situations. To my mind, that's where real hero happens. I've had this argument for years. Superman's not a hero and Batman is, because Superman can't be beat. Unless you've got kryptonite, you can't beat him. So he's not heroic. It should be his friggin' job to save people. He can't get hurt. Batman, on the other hand, every day puts his real physical ass on the line to go out and help people he doesn't know. And to me, that's far more heroic. As we can go about his depressive behavior at some other time, but between those two, to me, Batman's the hero because he's not superhuman.
It's actually interesting, Kevin. I saw there was another question for me where like Asher came from, and it was similar to Batman. I actually had a dream with Asher where like that's where his character came from, was a dream that I had where he was in an alley watching his like fathers be shot after some kind of concert or event, which is basically Batman's story, right? And then Batman falls down the well with the bats, and it depends on which depiction you see. But it was basically, you know, his father's having this media or technology empire and having the access to all this tech and just going out and throwing himself at situations, which is what Batman does. Just instead of being dark and moody, he's, you know, light and fluffy.
Overly cheery, he
copes
poorly in a different way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But there is an absolutely key feature to this story. It's actually kind of two sides of a coin. But the whole first half of this, the whole like historical part of this story, only works if the characters change history. It only works if they don't do what they were told to do, which is go and watch. If you just did exactly what you were told, just went and watched what happened, that would have made the game very, very different for me, because I would have had to suck you in. But this story does not work. It was a big chance that I took. It absolutely has to, the characters have to buy in, and they have to, the moment where Tholo was just sweating, but gonna let the guy shoot Kennedy, because it was, you know, that moment was the one time where you almost did your job instead of doing the right thing. But the whole first half of this only works if you guys need to do the right thing. The second half only works if you care about the fictins. You destroyed every single one of them in the end, but you cared about them first. You got happy endings out of every single one of them, even though it made absolutely no difference to the end result of the story. And that's what made this special. It was the humanity in these characters that made this whole thing work. If you had all been chaotic neutral assholes, like, you know, every teenage group of D&D players ever, this would have been boring as dirt, because you just would have crushed everything in your path, and that would have been that. So thank you for being human. Thank you for playing humans. I really appreciate it. This was a big chance to prove something for myself, and I think we did. I think we showed that this is a valid way to do this. And yeah, for anybody that was counting tonight, 1 die roll all night.
On that note, too, I did have one more plug for your system that I really enjoy about this one over any others that I've played.
Yes.
And that's that lack of initiative, the need to roll initiative,
Yes.
that we can take turns and be respectful of each other's turns and pull each other in if we notice somebody's falling behind or hasn't said anything for a while, or you as a narrator bringing somebody in. Like I felt honestly like maybe there were some times where I was hogging a spotlight, but then at some point the tables were flipped. Yep. And then somebody else came in to balance how much time any one given person had taken. And I really appreciate that. That's a testament to you as a GM, but also to this system not having that initiative role and allowing us to do what our characters would do in the time that they would do it. So thank you.
The whole point to balance is get the rules out of the way. I don't want to see the mechanics. The absolute minimum amount of mechanics involved. The goal for it was you'll never have to look up a rule. That was the goal for this rule set. You read the page once and you're done. It's as easy as a fun shot, easier than some. but then it's got this flexibility built into it. Now, I will say, for new players, it can be overwhelming because, as you guys, we've mentioned before, when you say everything is possible, it gets too big in a hurry, and it's hard to sort of filter that down into what you want to do. And that's something I have to keep in mind with the people I'm playing with. And that was really useful advice that I got for that. But if you're looking for a system to get the hell out of the way and let the role play happen, I might have built one of those.
I would also say, though, Kevin, that depends on the narrator and the skill of the narrator for that bit, because you still kind of, give us the options without giving us the options. Like this story for particular, we started in the antechamber of hell, and there's only one door.
It was a railroad. Tonight was an absolute railroad. There was no other than pulling the spike early. There was no way to not follow the 9 steps, right? I mean, but hopefully I made up for that railroady by giving you each a chance to sort of express who you really were. So. As a character, so
for sure,
that's what he's saying. I think is like structure within, like to have organized chaos. That's kind of what balance seems like.
Yes, absolutely. It all goes back to the railroad in a sandbox. The idea of a railroad in a sandbox. The world is big, and you can go anywhere you want. You could do anything you want. You could have absolutely let Oswald shoot Kennedy. The both of them would have done it, and it still would have been a conspiracy. I had that idea covered too, because there was 2 Oswalds, but potentially 3 people could have shot Kennedy that day, and none of them were the alien. But but yeah, this I think it leaves open. It becomes about the storytelling, and that's what I've come to over the years. As I do less and less rolling of dice, and more storytelling, and more communal storytelling. My favorite parts of these are always the same. It's the part where I say, you tell me. Like tonight with Edward. You tell me when you look the other way in the pit of greed. What do you see? Or in the pit of lust, what do you see? So that's four heads will always tell a better story than 1. 5 heads will always tell a better story than 4. At Edward's other side.
Yeah, I don't quite understand.
Not quite sure what that means. Yeah. Well, it was just a compliment.
Oh, okay. But going along with Saber's comment, with the lack of initiative, it also brings a lot of like she mentioned, he mentioned, it brings a lot of flexibility, to where, you could be doing a combat, or you could be just doing regular narrative stuff. And in other game systems where you have that initiative in there, everything's so cemented. Like, this is what happens during this 6 seconds or whatever. With the lack of that, you have it so that people can jump in and influence what other players have already done or are doing, and that brings a wonderful thing. That's just great, to being able to, instead of say, like, if actually a combat happened, and Asher goes and he wants to go and Superman an enemy, whatever. It's like, as Asher goes and leaps up, Edward grabs his legs and just like helicopters him into the enemies or whatever. And just having the flexibility is great. And I would like to bring up a statement. A lot of the times, I see players or GMs or whatnot, DMs, however you want to call it, bring up the term railroading. I don't like the term railroading, because that's essentially what a GM or DM is doing all the time. They have an end in sight. You're going to that end. It's just how well they disguise it. That's what makes it feel as well you're getting railroaded or not. And there's ways around that. Like, you can let the party go and do whatever they want. Nothing says that what they need to fight has to be in this town. It could be going to the town they're going to.
Wherever they go. Yep, absolutely.
So
the example I use in the video is, if I have decided that one of the characters is going to have a family heirloom stolen, it's going to get stolen, or at least there's going to be an attempt to steal it. I don't care which of the 7 cities in my world you go to, the thief's going to follow you and he's going to try and steal that. That's it. That plot point, we're going to hit that point no matter what. But you can go anywhere and do anything. So, yeah, thank you for bringing that up. That is a very good point. To some extent, that it is your job, right? You have to be the plot, right? You have to be the background. You have to be the world, and there has to be a direction. I mean, maybe not if you're doing a open-ended, never-ending campaign, but these ones here, we got 10 weeks. There is a story arc that is going to get done in 10 weeks because we got to shut it down and go and do something else.
Or your players, Kevin, do you have your 4 plot points for 1964 or 84 or whatever that book was, that we never. Yeah, yep. and then your players just decide no.
You notice that that one didn't show up tonight either in the Layers of Hell,
because we didn't do it.
You didn't do it. Nope. And the Heretic one didn't show up because you guys didn't do the Pope Joan episode.
You'd be surprised how often you'll have notes for a session, and you just have to throw them away.
Yep.
Just throw them
Put
away.
them on a pile. Put it every writer has a trunk of stuff. Every GM should too, because one of these days you're gonna go, I got one in here, and you just pick and take the carrion, pick the carrion off the bones of your worlds. I created a world it took me over 200 hours putting it into the VTT here, and we've never played it because I got 200 hours into building the world and looked at it and went, nothing happens here. There's no impetus for anything to happen. So I just stopped building it, but I have gone back to it and stolen scenes and images and encounters and puzzles from it because I'm not wasting that. I'm lazy.
Yeah, or then you get a new group of people come in and say, I need you to do a one-shot, help me out. And you're like,
Yeah.
I've got
this covered.
The thing.
I've got 10 ready for you. Absolutely. But I think we're going to kind of start to wrap this one up tonight because I want to mention next week, the 3rd, and then the following week, the 10th and the 11th, we have got Scarred Adventurer running a masks campaign for us. For several of the people in this room are part of that. They're going to be superheroes who are very, very different from the characters they played here. Now that we put the retire on these folks, you can go and go over there. I played in the one shot and I crashed an entire building on everybody's head. So there you go. Have some fun.
Oh my God. I've never played such a jerk. I'm going to have so much fun. It's gonna be so good.
One of those characters where you have to have a voice because you do it in the voice and you go, I'm so sorry, but I'm going to be this guy. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's do the official thank yous again because it's been a long time, so I got to do them again. Nick, thank you so much for this and everything else you've done with us. You've been an absolute mainstay in my game. Thank you so much. Villa, thank you, man. It is a pleasure. Every time you're at a table, you push me to be better just because we've been in that boat where we were pushing each other to be better in those all GM games. So I really appreciate having you here because it brings out everything I've got, and I appreciate that very much. So thank you for that. Tails, watching the joy of you play and going, you could do this, like I'm allowed to be this, was worth the price of admission. Thank you so much. I do this all for new players. That's my goal, get more people playing because it is so much fun and we can share the joy. So thank you for allowing me to do that and to, through you, show other people that this is something you can do. All you have to do is come to the Discord and tell us you want to. We'll get you in. And that brings us to Saber. Again, I'm just thinking Dawn DM'd for us, Puck DM'd for us, and now I've DM'd for you. I guess there's only one thing left. We got a Tuesday coming.
I gotta be a DM for you.
We gotta find a one shot for you to do on a Tuesday, with all your spare time.
No.
But
no, you gotta help me set one up for my students. That's what's
I absolutely will do that. Yeah, and we'll I'll write it, and then you can go through and take out all the filth and the horrible bits and make it presentable to the appropriate
We'll
age.
leave just a little bit in there so that they can
blush a little bit, pretend they don't get it. Yeah.
thank you. Thank you
That's
for
the
everything.
That's the for you. Thank you so much. And also for chat, thank you so much for hanging around. This show has got the biggest chat viewership and the biggest watch on Twitch and the biggest watch on YouTube. So thank you so much for that. Speaking of YouTube, those of you that are watching this in the future, hopefully you're watching at the end of a 9-episode binge. I mean, how can you get episode 9 and it was only 18 hours, less than 18 hours total? You can binge that in a weekend. Anyway, with that and all those thank yous, as always, we'll end the way we always do. Please, until next time, be nice to each other.